Hey folks, Brian, I've got another PAX Unplugged game. Ran, oops, wrong set of stuff. Ran Trouble at Day's Rest. The last time I ran this at Gen Con did not go well. This time went actually pretty decent. I was very happy with it, even though the party took it off the rails. So, improvise, adapt, and overcome. So, uh, the party, I narrated, we had four guys signed up for the session, but only three showed. So we started late, waiting for this fourth guy to actually join us. Um, and so we talked through just some basic game mechanic kind of stuff that not everybody needs to know up front necessarily. But at 20 after going, hey, shoot, we got to go. And so started off. Um, I took Vishy Dunn as an NPC so that he's available to be there for those things he's for. But then the players don't have to worry about being a shaman and doing Vishy stuff. So they got to choose to do what they wanted to do with what they wanted. They and we narrate all the way through to Day's Rest. They arrive. They talk with him. Talk with the guy. Mentioned about Harford. Yeah, Harford's not here. He's normally here. It's late morning already. Yeah, I'm behind schedule. I need to get things rolling, and he's not here. He's normally here working with folks. And he points out the three other traders in the merchants market, and the party then goes to talk with. I think he just talked with Sinlanda from Boltholm. I think the only ones he actually talked with to see if she knew about Harfor, and if she knew where he was, that kind of thing. And of course, she hasn't seen him for several days, and is looking for him because she wants to close out this deal. So they go, then decide, well, let's go check with his wife, see if she knows anything. Get directions from Solanal to go, and so they go check with her. They do some general conversation, get some points across, that kind of thing. They do get a chance to talk with the daughter, though, and the daughter talks about how her father was very worried about something before he disappeared. They do see the frescoes painting on the wall, and the wife again doesn't really know what's going on business-wise or what's going on. She's not necessarily an outsider, but she's a half-breed, so she's not accepted by the local grounders. She's not accepted by the llama folk, and so she kind of just keeps to herself. Um, it does pop up during conversation. Excuse me, my goodness, about Nanda also being missing. If anybody knows anything about him, that'd be his adopted mother, Janelle, the priestess near the shrine. And so the party goes there to check things out. um, One of the party members is thinking maybe this guy got killed and thrown into the oasis, into the water, to get rid of the body kind of thing. And so while they're talking with Janelle, just, doing the oration thing, earth and harmony rune stuff, trying to get across, hey, we're trying to find this guy. Do you know anything? What about, your son Nanda? Has he been around? Because apparently he's been missing too. But Yanioth is one of the PCs, and she did the oratory with the bonus and did really well with that. So she calls Nanda out. Nanda gives his story. Actually, it's before that. They ask about, hey, can you commune with the spirit and find out if Harford's body is in the water? And so they try that. she actually doesn't get a response because there's foreigners here, even though they tried to help with the whole ceremony, augment with the ceremony. So I get Nanda, get the story out of him on what happened. They still have this idea in the back that maybe Harfor is dead. And they go back. Oh, and she gives the seed to the party. Party starts to go back, but thankfully this party actually went to go see Nanda. The other party didn't, so the Nanda trigger never happened, and so all things got all wacky. But thankfully, this party went found Nanda, so they have the varicose move after Nanda stuff happening. And so when they're coming back to Harfor's house, Naya, the maid, is there looking for him. And come. And so they come back, and there's the unconscious guard. There's the wife who's been roughed up. Now she tells them, hey, they're trying to get into the storeroom upstairs. Nana and I went out to the street and started screaming for help, and that scared them away. They took off. Yanioth goes out front with Natham. She is, asking around, hey, did anybody see anything? Of course, there's crowds coming around. Yeah, the two guys took off on zebras, headed out north. Natham grabs Vishy, and they go north to try and track and see what they can find out. And they find trails, and they go on out because they went forever. Yanioth then goes to the Ernalda Shrine and does divination to try to get an answer. Hey, is he dead? Is he in the ground? And he's not. Meanwhile, Vasana goes with the wife upstairs to the storeroom, takes her axe out, beats it down. Everybody else gets back, and they start going through the stuff. They find the ledger, but they can't read it. But something's important because it got crossed out. And they find the bracelets and the power storage crystal and the bracelet. And they ask, hey, is it okay if we take this to help us find your husband? And she says, yeah, go ahead. And by all means, if it's going to help find my husband, take it. Please bring it back. That kind of stuff. They never did actually use any of that. Well, the bracelets, the slaver bracelets thing they did, though. And we'll get to that. So, Natham and Vishy goes out, by a half day, just follows trail. It looks like they're going to Pavis. So they come back. It's nightfall by now. Vasana and Yanioth have gone around and done a couple of things here in town. They all meet together. They spend the night at Harfor's place. And next morning, they're looking for mounts. Well, there aren't any mounts here, so they say, well, maybe we can go to the Blue Llama Can guys and buy a couple of llamas for mounts, because they want to get mounted up to go across the desert to chase down Verico. Oh, that's right. They went back to the Yanioth and Vasana went back to the merchant and to talk with Harfor about this ledger and stuff. And he explains, what the ledger is saying and what's going on. And maybe said, and as soon as he read the ledger, he stops and he looks across the court and says, he left last night, or he left earlier today. And so that's why I think, okay, they're all hooking up together. We've got to chase them down. That's what I said. We need to get mounts so we can chase them down. So they go to the Nomad camp. She says, hey, I've got an issue with the Blue Kama clan and this whole Kinslayer thing. Maybe I shouldn't go. So I think it's just Yanioth and Vasana go to the Nomad camp. We play through some stuff. I make some reaction roll kind of things. And they ask, they wanted to buy mounts. You want to buy llamas from us? He says, oh, no, llamas are too important of an animal. Perhaps some of those sable antelope, we could buy those. And so he sends one of his guys out there, and they haggle a price, 25 lunars each kind of thing, or guilders. And they agree to that price. They go and check out the animals. They pick a couple of good ones. And then they go back, hook up with Vichy, and then they take off. So they're now a day and a quarter behind Varicose and his guys. So, 2 days to New Pavis. They get to New Pavis. I mean, they can't really follow a trail all the way across the desert, but they know this is the pathway to New Pavis. So they go to New Pavis. Vasandan and Yaniath have both been there before. In fact, Vichy's been there before, so they've got this history with New Pavis and Argrath. In fact, the scenario is written out that they're supposed to be going across Praxis to get to New Pavis to meet with Argrath and his court when Vichy's vision diverts them down to Day's Rest. So they connect with the court and Argrath and those guys, and they start trying to find if there's any slave training going on here. Is Harfor here? Can we find out anything? I don't have anything for Pavis. I do have the PDF for the Hero Quest. Pavis and Big Rubble, I think is the one. Or maybe that's the Glorantha Classic. But anyway, I've never read through the thing. So I'm scanning through the PDF looking for slave. All kinds of slave collar stuff going on here where people are being chained by slave collars. But nothing about slave trade going on there. Although there's some opportunities for Morocanth interaction, which was kind of interesting. But so they weren't able to come up with anything. So they start doing some like carousing kind of stuff. And somebody got special success. Okay, obviously everybody, hey, where can we buy slaves? We want to buy some slaves. Where do we buy slaves? Pimper's Block. Everybody tells them Pimper's Block, Pimper's Block, Pimper's Block. But somebody got special success. Hey, there's a Morocanth camp southeast of here. I'm sure they've got slaves they'd be willing to sell. Okay, so they head out there. They get there about nightfall. They make a little small stopping point camp kind of thing. And they send Nathan in to sneak around. And he sneaks around. And so what I did is I took the camp from the scenario and I rolled some dice to see how much bigger it's going to be. So I just took it, I multiplied it essentially by 5. Multiplied by 5. So instead of 5 Morocanth, there are 25 Morocanth. Instead of 2 tents, there's 10 tents. That kind of thing, right? Although I did keep the 2 carouses, just 2 carouses, just much bigger. So he sneaks in. I have him do the combined hide, move quietly thing, roll with a single die roll kind of deal. He misses his hide a couple of times, but these guys are not seeing anything. There's, 5 Morocanth guards wandering around, doing perimeter patrol and that kind of thing. And I don't see nothing. He actually sneaks into, he's looking for a tent that he thinks valuables may be hid. Okay, how do you tell if a tent has valuables in it? Starting with guards. Yeah, there's a tent with guards. I'll go to that tent. Well, this is the chieftain's tent, right? That's why there's guards out front. But he tries to sneak underneath under the back, and he makes his rolls. So he's getting underneath. And I took a scene from an old scenario that my player did in Harnmaster, where he was doing the same sort of thing. Climbing underneath the bottom of a tent. There's the bed at the back. So he's underneath the bed looking through. You can see some more Morocanth feet out there on the table. He did start to freak out earlier on with the Morocanth looking around, that kind of stuff, because he's got the seed to go invisible, and he says, "I eat the seed if they can see me, or if I think they see me." Well, do you think they see you? Well, I think maybe they did. Okay, then eat it. I'm not gonna take it. They see you. Well, I ate the seed. You can't do that. He's looking around. Anyway, so he's invisible, and he's, tromping around, doo-doo-doo-doo. But he did this whole underneath the thing, and he's, there's some miscommunication on, this tent is just this one tent. There's not like a tent in the section so you can come in from other sides and find new stuff. There's not. There's a table, there's 3 guys sitting down around it, they're talking, there's 2 guys standing up, and they're all talking, but they're all talking Morocanth, so you can't understand a damn thing they're saying. And then he's thinking about crawling out from underneath the bed and standing up and walking around kind of thing. Do you really want to do that? Yeah, there's some chests here. There's some benches. There's pillows and clothing and things. What do you want to do? So he eventually climbs back out. He made his roll again, thank goodness. And then he heads back. Oh, before he heads back, he opens up both the corrals. So the animals and the herdmen, will scatter kind of thing. And he's got some carrots. And he had used the carrots earlier with the herdmen. So he throws a carrot to both of the. He opens up the gates and throws some carrots. Throws a carrot in each one kind of deal. The beasts, the riding beasts, don't pay any attention, but the herdmen, more carrots follow the guy. So they start following him. They eventually lost that trail of him because their sniffs aren't that good. But he started to freak out because they're following him. And it took forever I kept rolling for the Morcanth to notice something was going on. And it took forever for that to happen. But eventually it did. And so while the party is trying to, new plan, did you see everything? Well, he never checked out the lean-tos. There were lean-tos on one section. He never checked them out. So I figured, okay, that must be where the prisoners are. So let's go back. We'll come from the far side and break into one of the lean-tos, and we'll use this whole escaping herdmen and beast things to be a distraction for that. And sure enough, they finally figure out something's going on. The herdmen are gone. So they start raising the alarm, and people start searching around trying to gather up all the herdmen. So they come around. The players come around from the other side. Nathan comes up. He gets spied by a Moracanth who's coming down, is going to attack him. Vasana in the armor actually makes her stealth rolls and gets up to the first lean-to. I just did do the two lean-tos. They're just bigger, right? For that, and then Yanioth missed one of her stealth rolls, obviously because her move silently. She missed that, and so a Morcanth, heard something. He's kind of looking around. Excuse me. So as things went through, Vasana's going through. She cuts the ties to the thing, gets inside, starts cutting people loose and is looking for hardcore. Cut person loose, look for hardcore. After I think the third or fourth one, she finally spots him, cuts him loose next, tells him to get out. They're here to rescue him. Go, get out. I'll get you. And he puts the knife down for the next guy, saying, "Hey, cut yourselves loose. Get out of here." Takes off, grabs him, starts peeling off. Ends up throwing a demoralize at a Moracanth that's coming up to attack at Natham, and gives the whistle to let's beat town. While that's going on, Yanioth has been hiding. She's been throwing befuddles at Moracanth that have been attacking at Natham, and then summons a small earth elemental and then controls him to go to the tents and spit out all the sticks. Pull the stakes up so all the tents start falling down. He goes off to do that. That's just at the end before she turns and starts running. But as she's starting to run, she looks back and she can see a bunch of Moracanth coming up over the hillock. The camp's on a hill. So we got to go. And while that's been going on, Nathan sent his cat against this Moracanth who had a two-handed spear. The cat makes his jump to do the attack, but the Moracanth gets his spear into it, does 8 points of damage to the poor cat's arm, puts it to negative. Well, it does 10 points, but only 8 can be applied to it because it's only 4 hit points. So it goes, down by 8 points, and his front right leg goes down. But he gets since he's jumping, he gets to still do the swipe and the bite. Both missed. So it flops to the ground. And Nathan does a speed dart arrow to the Moracanth. And then the next round does a multi-missile and a second shot. And after that, he runs up onto his cat to heal it. And then sends it back off again. What is it with these hunters and shitting their saddle cats out as war beasts? I just don't get it. But every hunter I've had, I've only had a couple, seem to think that their shadow cats are just killer beasts, berserkers. Send them out there. They've got no armor. They've got very little hit points. What are you doing? And he does that. And then he's got more Moracanth coming at him. So he does a dodge, disengage, starts to run. The whistle goes, take off. He does mobility on himself, on his cat, gets to the mounts, does it on all the mounts. Everybody else gets up there, they get on the mounts, and they take off back to New Pavis. Hook again with their folks there at New Pavis. 2 days later, they're at Day's Rest. They turn Harfer over to his wife. Everybody's happy. They ask him what's going on. He gives the spiel about what happened and what the whole deal was. All in all, a successful game session. I was very, very happy with this one compared to the last one, which while it was not an epic failure, did not go well. Happy gaming!